Hey, everybody. It's Thursday, November 6th. I'm Jim Deedlow, the owner of WJOB Radio and of the JED TV Sports Network. And we're going to address a situation that is very uncomfortable and awkward and needs to be addressed. And that is the case of a comment that was made by one of our guys, Dave Kuziak, on Friday, I think almost 2 weeks ago now. And it was very vulgar in its description of the situation of, Andrean, basically. Dave Kuziak is a Bishop Knoll guy and has a long-seated dislike of Andrean. And I'm pretty sure that it kind of goes mutual there, and it elevated to a point where it was unacceptable. I have apologized profusely about the vulgarity of that, and Dave Kuziak will not be on the air tomorrow. And we will have this conversation right now to figure out how we go forward and try to address this situation. Sitting with me right now is Adrianna Alvarez. She is the 21-year-old student right here at Purdue Northwest and has risen very quickly to not only kind of run WJOB at times, but also to have kind of pulled my elbow to say we need a podcast network, which I think we're coming up on, 12 or 14. How many now?
Monday we'll have 19.
Yeah,
Come Monday.
it's an incredible thing. I did not know of the demand for that. And, of course, I told her I didn't want WJOB on video. And so now we have a YouTube channel, and many of you are watching that, and I appreciate that, but wasn't my idea. The podcasts or the TV or the WJOB YouTube was not my idea. I just wanted to do radio, and that's how it is. But both Joe Cimino is here. Joe is producing right now. Joe comes out of Connecticut, I believe, but he is also was the quarterback for Andrean 4 years ago when they were going into these big games. Joe, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
So we have an Andrean person, and we have a Bishop Knoll person. And we have quite the issue that is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joe, you have been hosting and learning how to produce, and you have been hosting the pregame shows, and you pretty much learned everything here. Is that about right to say?
Literally everything.
Yes. I think that Joe has a very bright future in broadcasting. Joe, one of the things that you were told is that you're going to produce for Dave Kuziak on Friday, and that you are in charge of the situation of everything that goes on. Adrianna trained you that way, and you understand the linear aspect of that. And I just want to know if you think you succeeded in that with Dave Kuziak on this.
No, obviously not. And I'll take, my part of the responsibility for it. Me and Kuziak like to have our little fun banter against each other. Obviously, he's a very intense guy about the subject, and it got away from us, and it got vulgar on his end, and I should have done my part as a producer. I mean, I'm the one with all the stuff back here, right? So I can change the volume, I can mute people, I can take us to break, and I didn't do any of that fast enough, and that resulted in people being displeased. So I'm sorry in my behalf and what I did to not, be more proactive in the situation, because yeah, you're right. Adriana and Matt, they have taught me very well. And there's definitely a handful of things that I could have done that probably would have prevented a majority of people from seeing that. So, you live and you learn. And I don't hold anything against Kuziak on a personal level. I think that he does a lot for the community, and he does a lot for, the people here at WJLB and other community shows. And, sometimes people make mistakes, and sometimes things get away from you, and you say things that maybe you might not ultimately mean in the moment. So, Yeah, that's kind of where I stand on it.
That was unrehearsed. I told these guys
I was gonna say you made a whole
I was not going to tell them what
policy
we were
thing.
going to do because I wanted to see. Ultimately, we're on the campus of Purdue Northwest. We have it's a pretty simple business model. If you come here and you're into the craft, I will work you, and if you have talent, I will work you underpaid and overworked and kind of in a high stress situation, and then you go and you get a nice big job somewhere. That's how it works. And we are considering this a learning experience for you and for you because ultimately you trained him, and they all need to know that they are in control of the morning.
Yes.
First of all, Joe, that was not your fault. Even though you recognize the linear aspect of the leadership and what you're supposed to be doing, I want to make sure, do not internalize it. That was Dave Kuziak as a mature human being making a vulgar comment, okay? We will deal with that on its own level. But you're in charge of all these people,
Yes.
and that got away.
Mm-hmm.
So who do I talk to? Do I talk to him or do I talk to you?
I think it's one of those that if a situation like that happens and and one of our producers, regardless of anybody who it is, it's like, hey, this happened on the air. Is this something that we need to address? Because this first time I saw the clip was a few days ago. I didn't know about any of that happening, and I think it was just one of those things that we didn't know that that's something that could blow up to the extent that it did. So I think it's more so just the producer, like me having to have like a talk with the producer saying, hey, this happened. We'll learn from this experience. Go from there. Take the proper. I see. I'm taking PR, so it's like crisis plan management.
You're
So
taking PR,
I'm just
and
like,
you're
yeah,
you're taking these things too.
I'm taking PR. That's actually where she told me that this was going to be a problem, was in our PR class.
yeah, crisis
Is
plan
that-
management.
Yeah, I walked in and she was like, "Hey, like this is kind of what's going on right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I need you to realize, what the problem is, what you could have done, what you should have done." And those are all things that she talked to me about. And, Adriana's great at talking to me about it, but also not making it feel like it's my fault. Which again,
I got you, bro.
yeah, like obviously part of it, there are aspects that I could have taken, and she told me about that. And, she warned me before that, these kind of stuff can happen. And, I need to be more vigilant. And, I think, yeah, we're going to handle it.
Okay, so we've laid it out. I want everybody to understand that I've pointed out that this is your responsibility to train these people and let them know. It's your responsibility when you're holding the gun over there on making sure that that this kind of thing does not happen. Okay. Ultimately, though, there's two people here who bear the brunt of this. Is Kuziak should not have said it, and I think that he realizes that, and it will we'll address him and what's going on with him at a later date. But really, this is all on me, and I'll tell you why. Because you have told me, and I had Matt Hansen tell me, and we got the attorney telling me, even the state of Indiana telling me that our sports and our WJOB need to be two separate entities and two separate companies. You know what the new name is, and all of the stuff that we put together and all the branding. We're already doing it. We just didn't get it done where everything's separate. We're moving WJOB down the street, and it's the new name is gonna be somewhere else. It's on me because I resisted. I had very smart and powerful people telling me this has to be separated. Even clients like separate the two. The brands are different. The athletic directors in the NCC, they're like, dude, split that out and just keep it over there. Basically, in case Kuziak says something stupid, that it doesn't taint what is going on. And I apologize to Andrean. I apologize to any of the local athletes that were kind of affected by this. And it all comes back to the fact that we've been for 102 years just had sports and news together, and it has been a problem in the past, and I know that, but I resisted it, and we are going full bore, and they will be separate companies, and Adriana will help in engineering that. So here's what I want to do. Okay, you're taking crisis plan management, right? You too? So
We sit next to each other.
who is that? Is that Roach?
Oh, advanced PR is Roach. The other one is social media NPR, and that is Jenny.
Jenny Chu.
Jenny Chu.
I don't know Jenny, but I know
She's a
Roach.
she's a new person.
So you can ask Roach about this too. But anyways, yeah, talk about curmudgeons. You think Kuziak could get kind of curmudgeon like Tom Roach beats them all. But anyways, here's what we're going to do. Kuziak's off for now. Okay? Hopefully have smoothed some things over with, Andrean. It was, and they have every right to be very angry and angry at me mostly because I did not listen to my advisors. All right. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to hand it to the Andrean guy and the Bishop Knoll woman to do a crisis plan management on this.
We got another homework
situation.
assignment.
I'm so ready.
So
Jenny has gotten me prepared.
So
Yeah,
here's
we
the
got
thing.
this.
Yeah, when I came out of college and I worked for Public Communications Inc., it was all crisis management. All right. And I am tired of making these decisions and fixing situations and so forth. Other people need to do that. I've never really taught crisis plan management, but there is as you well know, there's a
There's a
method.
lot of steps, yeah.
There's a lot of steps. And I want the two of you, partly because it's Bishop Knoll and Andrean. We all know that this really comes out of this huge Catholic war, and it'll be a Bishop Knoll woman and a Andrean guy coming together. I want a report that we can use. Here's what I want. I want first the incident response. Okay? In my mind, there's two main parts to a crisis plan management. All right? They're probably teaching the
Let's take notes
7-step
real
method.
quick. Yeah.
All right? I want you guys to look at what happened and, put all the variables together and then what our short-term response should be, right? So basically you got to decide, well, how should we handle Kuziak in the morning on WJOB and all of that? If you guys come up and say, hey, whatever your recommendation is, I'm going to stay away from it for the time. For now, he's off the air, but we are going to put that in your hands of what your recommendation on the short term will be. It's going to be the Andrean guy, and you guys will have equal say on this, okay? But then the second part of a crisis plan management is that you have to come up with a strategic plan to keep this kind of thing from happening in the future. Okay? I mean, I can give you 4 or 5 things off the top of my head that would probably need to be addressed. So you're doing the immediate, you got to say this is what happened, and then this is what we think we should do in the short term. Basically, what should we do with the Friday morning show, and that's one of them. But there are other things. And then it's like, all right, and this is what we suggest for the future of these two organizations. It's a very difficult one. Cimino's laughing because he knows it's going to be a lot of work, but you're going to get paid. I'll authorize, 20 hours on it, okay? To start. All right,
Okay,
look
bet.
at him, and he wants work. But we need to set a system so that makes WJOB stronger, which you have been given a lot of responsibility on, and we need to make a system which separates the sports from all of this and makes that stronger. And you're probably going to be more involved on that side of it, Cimino, okay? Work with Sam, work with Hanson, work with all these guys. So that's what I want. I'm tired of making all these decisions and dealing. I've dealt with crisis communications here. Do you think that this is a problem? And it is. And Andrean has every right to be angry, okay? But I've been here before. I've been, I can tell you, if you really want to know, I can tell you, the amounts of threats that have come my way and how do you deal with threats and this kind of thing. But what is most important here is what do we learn from this and how can we make both organizations stronger in the future? Does that make sense? Cimino, what's your comment on this?
My comment on this, Oh man. Well,
What
I
is
mean,
the first thing that comes to mind?
my first thing that comes to
Is-
I guess is just kind of I I guess the whole thing that I've been pondering since Adriana told me is, I hope that it doesn't affect Jed TV, because that's the one thing that, hold on, I'll flip the camera on me. Jed TV means a lot more to people than maybe some people realize. I mean, I've had countless people come up to me and tell me about how, their grandma gets to watch them that lives in Florida, or, their uncle who's deployed gets to go and finally watch one of, their son's high school or football games, or their niece's softball game or whatever. It means a lot to people to have Jed TV around, and I would hate to see it be penalized because of something that was said on here, something dumb that was said, something that honestly I don't know how much truthfulness there really was to what he said when he said it. I think it was just, you know, banter that was ugly and got too far, and I'd hate to see such a good thing go to waste because of, one comment. I know how much this means to people. I know how much people enjoy it, and that would suck. That would suck because I love to see the feedback and how happy people are, and just the widespread of this. I mean, like you said, we were getting an innovator award on Jed TV, right? Like, we're doing big things, and we're going somewhere, and it's going to continue to expand. There's going to be more teams added and all of this different. So there's so many big plans that this one little thing in the long run isn't going to mean, as much as we think it is. And at least in the long run, with how big that this is going to be, man, I would hate to see it go to waste.
All right, he's on the right track of figuring things out. You, how do you feel about this project that I just sprung on you right now?
Well, I think me and Joe, we both like the light bulb lit when they're like, yeah, you give 20 hours. We're just like, okay. We're like, cool. Because not only is it something that happened here, yes, it's good experience, something that we may not have gotten anywhere else. And it's not to say that, oh, this is a good thing that happened. No, nobody ever wants something like this to happen. Nobody ever wants to put those crisis plans into action. But because this is what's happening now, it's good to say, okay, we can tackle this, we can figure this out, and we are going to make sure that we repair what has been damaged, and we come back with a better, just kind of like a better view on everything, I'd say. And also just to make sure that, like we said, we don't want the radio to be affected. We don't want the sports to be affected. We want to make sure that even though they are owned and operated underneath the same person, they are still able to coexist together, but they are still separate. So it's just to make sure that, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to figure it out, and we're going to come back even stronger.
All right, let's wait. Let's await what Andrean guy and Bishop Noel woman come up with.